My ex's new girlfriend showed up crying, begging me to delete the video. The one where he confessed everything in my car, holding the knife, laughing like it was a game. I didn't say a word. Just hit send. I never thought I'd be writing one of these. For real. I've read enough Reddit stories at 3 a.m. to know how they usually go, and I always thought, nah, my life's messed up, but not that level messed up. Turns out I just hadn't hit the right chapter yet. So yeah, here I am. For context, I'm 29, male, live alone now, which honestly is probably for the best. This whole thing started about 2 years ago, give or take. Time's weird when your memory turns into a trauma slideshow. Everything starts blending. I think the first red flag was small, like, haha, quirky dark humor, small. But looking back, it was always there. Just hiding behind compliments, perfectly timed empathy, and those weird little moments where it felt like he knew what I was going to say before I said it. Anyway, we were together for about a year. Maybe 13 months. Not long in the grand scheme of things, but long enough for me to ignore my gut. He was charming, not just casually attractive, but the kind of charming that feels dangerous. Like you know you're being pulled in, but you want to be. The type that makes you feel like you're living in an A24 film with amazing lighting and eerie intimacy. And yeah, I bought into it. He love-bombed hard in the beginning. The compliments, the spontaneous gifts, the way he remembered small things I said in passing. At the time I thought, wow, he really listens. Now I realize no, he was collecting. Like storing data. Every insecurity I whispered at 1 a.m., every story I told about family or past relationships, it was like I was handing him ammo, one bullet at a time, and smiling while I did it. The breakup, if you can even call it that, wasn't real. One day he just stopped responding. Ghosted. I thought maybe he was sick or in trouble. Nope. Just gone. And then, not even a full week later, I see him tagged in someone's story. All cozy with a new girl at a winery. Laughing. Like I never existed. Like we hadn't spent weekends planning our future and arguing about whose bookshelf aesthetic would dominate the living room. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I shut down. Blocked his number. Archived the photos. Deleted playlists. Cried in the shower. All the classics. But I didn't reach out. Not even when he started texting our mutuals behind my back saying I was unstable, obsessive, dangerous. Like I was the problem. Like I was following him around. I wanted to burn it all down. Instead, I swallowed it. And then one night, months later, I was cleaning out my car. Getting ready to sell it, maybe trade it in. And I noticed the dash cam light blinking. I hadn't even remembered that thing was on. It was built in from the previous owner and I'd never really touched it. But out of curiosity, I pulled the SD card and plugged it into my laptop. There was only one clip that hadn't auto-deleted from months ago. Him. In the passenger seat. Late night. Rain on the windshield. I didn't even remember recording it until I hit play. His voice came through clear as day. The knife part. The laughter. The calm, deliberate way he talked about hurting people like it was an intellectual experiment. Like we were talking about a podcast episode. And the worst part? My own voice laughing along. Nervous. Soft. Like I was trying not to make it weird. I copied the file. Saved it in 3 places. And then I buried it. Emotionally at least. Told myself I'd never use it. That keeping it was just for closure. For validation. Just in case. And then she showed up. His new girlfriend. Crying on my doorstep, mascara streaked, shaking. Saying she didn't feel safe. That she found something. That he told her about me but it didn't add up. That he laughed when she cried. That she didn't feel like herself anymore. And then she asked. Do you still have the video? I didn't say a word. I just hit send. So yeah, I guess the story really starts about 3 months before the breakup when things were still good, or at least when I was still trying to convince myself they were. We were in that weird phase where everything looks okay from the outside, brunches, Instagram stories, inside jokes, but inside, I was starting to feel like I was being watched. Not literally. Just emotionally surveilled. Like every time I opened up, he filed it away. Like he was collecting my vulnerabilities for later. And I know how that sounds. Paranoid. But when someone always remembers the exact phrasing of the worst thing you've ever said about yourself, and brings it up mid-argument like it's a trump card, that's not love. That's leverage. I just didn't know it yet. Anyway, one night we were in my car, late, cold, raining, parked outside his place because he said his roommate was in a mood. He's scrolling through his phone while I'm mid-sentence talking about something dumb like a coworker who microwaved fish or whatever. And then he goes, you know I could kill someone and probably get away with it, right? Just casually. Like he's talking about parking tickets. I laughed like an idiot and said something like, okay, Dexter. And he smirked. Then he looked at me and said, dead serious? No, but like, I know how. The psychology. The staging. The panic window. I've thought about it. And I remember kind of freezing up just enough for him to notice and he goes, relax. I'm not talking about you. I changed the subject so fast my brain short-circuited. But I didn't forget it. And later that night, when I got home, I noticed the dash cam light blinking. Thing is, I never used that dash cam, it was just built into the car when I got it secondhand. I didn't even think it worked. Spoiler, it worked. I didn't check the footage then. Didn't even think to. And honestly, I was so emotionally tangled at that point, I probably would have deleted it on the spot just to protect him. That's where I was mentally. Like, oh, he's just edgy. He's been through stuff. He's processing. Anyway, fast forward a couple weeks. He's colder. More distracted. Always on his phone, always turning it face down. I ask if everything's okay. He says I'm being clingy. That I used to be fun. Classic. Then he ghosts. Gone. Like actually gone. Blocks me on every platform. Like I said before, I only found out he moved on because some mutual posted a story with him at a cabin, no less. Romantic getaway vibes. 1 week after he disappeared from my life. That should have been the end. But it wasn't. Because then came the DMs. Not from him, from people I barely knew saying, hey, just a heads up, he's been saying some weird stuff about you. Words like unstable, jealous, threatening. Like I was some psycho ex stalking him through the bushes. I wanted to scream. But I stayed quiet. For months. I deleted everything with his name in it. Cleared old chats. Tried dating again. Nothing serious. Just distractions. But he was still there, in the algorithms, in the suggested friends, in the shadows of rooms I used to feel safe in. Then one night I was cleaning out my glove box, trying to sell the car, and I saw that stupid little wreck light blinking on the dash cam. I pulled the SD card out of pure habit. Took it inside. Plugged it in. And suddenly I'm watching myself from the passenger seat while he says the words. You know I could kill someone and probably get away with it. Same tone. Same smirk. Same look in his eyes. But here's the part one hadn't remembered. After I laughed it off and changed the subject, he kept going. He said names. He said what he'd do if someone ever cheated on him. He said it like he was practicing. Like the whole thing was a script. And when I paused the video just for a second, I saw his reflection in the window smiling. Not at me. At himself. That was the moment something snapped in me. And it stayed snapped for a while until the knock at my door. Middle of the day. I open it and it's her. His new girlfriend. Hair messy, shaking, mascara running down her face like a bad movie scene. And she says, are you the ex? I just nodded. She goes, he told me if I ever came to you, he'd make me regret it. But I had to. I found something in his drawer. I let her in. She showed me a flash drive. A list. I won't say what was on it. Not yet. But it matched the tone. The language. The vibe. She said he'd been getting angrier. That he talked in riddles. That she didn't feel safe sleeping next to him anymore. And then she said, he mentioned a video. From your car. Do you still have it? That's when I knew. He remembered. And he'd told her about it not because he was scared, but because he thought I'd destroyed it. Because to him none of this was real. Just another twisted story to add to his ego fantasy. I didn't speak. I just pulled up the file. And hit send. She watched the video in silence. Didn't flinch, didn't cry, just sat there on my couch, knees pulled up, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to shrink into non-existence. I was expecting a reaction, gasping, tears, something. But when it ended, she just whispered, I thought I was losing it. I asked if she was safe. She didn't answer. Just kind of shook her head barely. Then she told me he'd started saying weird things in his sleep. Mumbled names. Numbers. One night she found a sticky note under his pillow that just said trigger scenario, water. No explanation. No context. She showed me a photo of it on her phone. That's when I asked to see what she brought, the flash drive. She hesitated for a second, then handed it over. It wasn't just a list. It was a folder. Password protected, but she knew the code. A date. Their anniversary. Of course. Inside were files labeled with initials. Short docs. PDF format. Some had checklists. Emotional reactions. Test phrases. Deflection options. Escalation mapping. It read like a twisted experiment. And my name was there. Not just my first. Full name. With a chart next to it. I wish I was exaggerating. But it said. Subject, prone to guilt spirals, parent-related trauma, fear of abandonment, validates easily when praised, suppresses anger until collapse. And under it a box marked. Leverage status, expired. I stared at that for so long I didn't hear her get up. When I looked over, she was pacing in the kitchen, whispering to someone on her phone. I think it was her sister. Or maybe a friend. She said something like, no, I'm not staying there tonight. No, I swear, I'm okay. But her hands were shaking. I offered her my couch. Said I'd sleep on the floor if she wanted to lock the door. She said no, she was going to go to her cousin's place. I believed her, not because it made sense, but because she looked like someone who needed to keep moving or she'd collapse. Before she left, she asked if I still had the original file. I told her yes. Then I backed it up to a cloud folder. 3 copies. Passwords. Locked. That should have been the end. Again. But like always it wasn't. The next day, my phone blew up. 1 missed call. Then 2. Then 8. All unknown numbers. Then a blocked one. I didn't answer. Then I checked my email. 1 new message. No subject. No text. Just a Dropbox link. I opened it. Dumb move. It was a screen recording. Of my voice. From one of those old 2 a.m. rants I'd sent him when we were still together, when I thought I was being raw and vulnerable and safe. I was crying. Saying things like, I don't think I'll ever be enough. Saying I felt like a burden. Saying I didn't matter. And over it? His voice layered in. Calm. Mocking. Like a director's commentary. Classic martyr mode. Guilt equals control. Timestamp this. He made a tape. Of me. Annotated. And the caption on the file? You wanted closure. Here it is. I didn't even know what to do. I paced. I screamed into a pillow. I called my best friend and immediately hung up. I opened Twitter, typed a whole thread, then deleted it. My hands were buzzing. Like my body couldn't contain the data anymore. I didn't sleep that night. Just kept refreshing my inbox. Waiting to see if he'd send more. Waiting to see if she was okay. She never messaged back. I didn't blame her. The next morning, I went into work like a zombie. I sat at my desk pretending to type. Then I got a Slack notification. Hey, can we talk? It was from IT. I thought, okay, cool, maybe my laptop auto-flagged for too many file uploads or something. Normal stuff. But when I got to the office, the head of HR was waiting. And the look on her face? Yeah, not normal. She said someone had submitted a concern about a former employee. My ex-someone had anonymously provided a set of files. Video, audio, documents. And my name was in all of it. As a potential risk. As someone who might have helped create the materials. I almost laughed. Out loud. But I didn't. I sat there, nodded, told them I'd cooperate fully. That I had no involvement, but I understood how serious it looked. I was calm. Too calm, maybe? They asked if I had copies of anything. I said no. Not yet. Then I went home and called a lawyer. And that was when I found out someone had submitted a FOIA request. About me. Not government, obviously. But similar. A data archive pull linked to an online harassment case involving him. And my name was mentioned as initial source material. He was trying to flip the narrative. I wasn't the one holding a weapon in a video. I wasn't the one building psychological dossiers on people like they were NPCs in a strategy game. But now I was the bitter ex. The digital stalker. The unstable one again. Only this time I had a lawyer. And a time-stamped hard drive. And maybe most terrifying for him, I had nothing left to lose. I didn't sleep again that night. Not even close. I lay on my back staring at the ceiling, heart racing, brain spinning in loops. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined him somewhere, not hiding, not afraid, but relaxed. Maybe sitting on his couch, barefoot, wine glass in hand, watching this whole thing play out like it was his favorite show. Maybe even smirking. Like he'd written the script and was waiting for the next episode to drop. The hero unravels. The girl runs. The villain stays off camera. Classic. That's what scared me the most, I think. Not that he was coming for me, but that this was fun for him. That I wasn't even real to him, just a story. Just a pawn he moved across a board because he liked the sound of people breaking. And I knew what came next. He was going to flip the narrative. He'd already started. The emails started small. One from a fake account, no subject, no text, just a link to a file titled Perspective. I didn't open it. I knew what it was. Probably some Frankenstein audio edit of me crying, cut to make me sound deranged. That was his thing, weaponizing your worst moments and calling it truth. My lawyer, bless her, told me we were playing defense now, not just survival. She said he was trying to manufacture a record that would get ahead of anything we tried to expose. She said I needed to take control of my own narrative legally, digitally, emotionally. So I started documenting everything. Screenshots, timestamps, login attempts, call logs. I set up 2FA on every account I had. Got a second phone. Changed my locks. My friends thought I was being dramatic. Maybe I was. But I'd rather be dramatic than dead. Then, a week later, my building's front door buzzer rang at 2:13 a.m. I didn't answer. Just stared at the monitor. Whoever it was didn't say anything. They just stood there. Hoodie. Head down. After maybe 3 minutes, they left. I still don't know if it was him. Could have been a food delivery to the wrong unit. But I didn't order anything. And I didn't sleep the rest of the week. That Friday, I found something I hadn't remembered saving, an old audio memo on my cloud buried in an unnamed folder. The metadata said it was from 7 months ago. I hit play. It was his voice. A little slurred. Background noise, maybe a bar or a party. He was talking to someone else loud enough for the mic to catch it. I only date people I can break. It's like my thing. The messier, the better. I want their trauma in my mouth. That's what he said. I actually dropped my phone when I heard it. It felt like a jump scare. Like something crawling out of the past and whispering, told you so. I replayed it. Twice. Just to be sure. His voice. His laugh. No context. No excuses. I sent it to my lawyer immediately. Her reply came 1 minute later. Just, that's it. We've got him. We attached it to our case file. A digital abuse complaint. Psychological coercion. Harassment. And while she did her legal magic, I spent the next few days existing. Barely. Everything felt sticky. Like my skin didn't fit. I couldn't listen to music. Couldn't eat more than crackers. I drank coffee until my hands trembled. Then I got a text. From a number I didn't recognize. She's gone. You did this. No name. No context. Just that. I called the girlfriend. Straight to voicemail. No reply. I panicked. Spent half the night wondering if she was okay, if she was hurt, if he'd done something. The next morning she finally texted back. Said she was alive. That she left town. That she was safe but didn't want to be part of the circus. I told her I understood. That I wouldn't contact her again unless she asked. She just replied. Thanks for not making me feel crazy. That hit harder than anything. The next day I was called into HR. Again. But this time the energy was different. The head of HR gave me a look that felt respectful. Hesitant but respectful. She said they'd reviewed the documents I'd submitted. That my name had been cleared. Cleared like I'd been a suspect. I should have felt relief. But all I felt was exhaustion. I walked out of that room and went straight to my car. Sat there with the AC on full blast. I watched people walk by like they were in a different world. People who still believed the people they loved weren't watching them for sport. That night, I uploaded everything I had to a secure archive. Not public, not yet. Just a locked vault. If anything ever happens to me, if I disappear, or someone tries to ruin my name, that vault goes live. To journalists. To lawyers. To everyone. And no, I don't think I'm being paranoid. I think I finally stopped pretending this was a movie with a happy ending. I don't know where he is now. Last I heard, he was trying to move overseas. Somewhere without extradition. Figures. Cowards like him never stay for the fallout. They love to detonate but not to burn. As for me, I'm still here. Still rebuilding. Still flinching when I hear certain words. Still checking the peephole. But I'm no longer ashamed. I'm no longer the one whispering, maybe I overreacted. No. I underreacted. For way too long. And if he's reading this, because let's be honest, he probably is, I want him to know one thing. You didn't break me. Not really. Because I kept the tape. And I made backups. And if you ever try to rewrite the story again, I'll hit send. Again. Louder this time. Didn't think I'd be writing an update, honestly. I figured the story was done. Or at least closed on my end. But I guess people like him don't really leave things unfinished, they just wait. Anyway, a lot's happened in the last few weeks and some of it's still ongoing, but I'll share what I can. So first off, the archive I mentioned? The one with all the files, recordings, and metadata? Someone tried to breach it. I got a notification from the cloud service, multiple failed logins within a 30-minute window. Different IPs, 2 of them international, one from a VPN service I didn't recognize. I knew it wasn't a random attack. No one stumbles on a locked archive called contingency, legal, without knowing exactly what they're looking for. I freaked. Resecured everything. Updated passwords. Moved the entire thing offline to encrypted storage. And yeah, I reported it to my lawyer, who told me to expect escalation. She wasn't wrong. 2 days later, someone emailed my boss. They didn't say they were him, but they attached an anonymous concern with screenshots of me, old texts cropped badly with things like "I'll destroy him" highlighted out of context. Stuff I'd written in panic, never sent or said during meltdowns. And none of it was fake. That's the thing, he didn't fabricate. He curated. My boss called me into his office like it was routine. But I saw his face. The "this is HR adjacent" face. I explained the situation as calmly as I could. Gave him a redacted version of what happened. Even showed the police report. He nodded a lot. Said, "Thanks for being transparent." Then asked if I needed time off. That's when I knew the email wasn't about getting me fired. It was about freezing me. Isolating me. Making me afraid to speak. I left the office that day feeling like I was being followed. I wasn't. Probably. But still, I took the long way home. Used reflections in store windows to check behind me. Messed up, right? But here's where it gets even darker. That night, I got a text from an unsaved number. Just one sentence. "Did you show her the list?" Her. Meaning the new girlfriend. The one who came to me. The one who'd vanished again after saying she was safe. My chest basically imploded. I replied. "Who is this?" No answer. The next day, I woke up to a DM request on an account I barely use, some random username, no posts. The message just said, "She didn't listen. Now she's in trouble." I know. Could have been a troll. Could have been him screwing with me. Could have been a bluff. But I couldn't shake the feeling. So I tried reaching out to her again. Nothing. Not even delivered. I texted the number she gave me before. No dice. I emailed her. Nada. And then the email bounced back. Not undeliverable. Not blocked. It said the address didn't exist anymore. That's when I really started to spiral. Like blackout scroll mode. Checked obituaries. Searched her full name plus incident or report. Nothing came up. But no news isn't always good news. The part that kills me is, I didn't even know her that well. Not really. But I felt responsible. I still do. Because she believed me. And I believed her. And now silence. I didn't tell anyone at first. Not my friends, not my therapist, not even my lawyer. I just sat on it. Let it rot in my chest like bad meat. Every time my phone buzzed, my fingers twitched. Every time a car idled a little too long outside, I stared out the window like I was in a hostage film waiting for the third act to drop. I started keeping the lights on overnight. Just in case. I moved my bed slightly away from the window even though I live on the 3rd floor. I ordered blackout curtains, but they sat in the box for a week because I was afraid to hammer nails into the wall at 1 a.m. and draw attention. I know that sounds paranoid, but this guy made paranoia feel like self-preservation. And then it got worse. Someone slipped a note under my apartment door. No envelope. No return address. Just a single piece of printer paper, folded once, with 5 words in thick black Sharpie. "You're not done yet, storyteller." I remember reading that sentence over and over like it would change meaning the 5th time around. It didn't. I sat on the hallway floor for over an hour, back against the door, knees up to my chest like I was bracing for a storm. Because in a way I was. I took a photo of the note. Put on gloves, dropped it into a Ziploc bag. My lawyer would want it. That much I knew. But something in me still thought this might all stop if I just stayed quiet long enough. That he'd get bored. Move on. Except that's not how people like him work. They don't get bored. They escalate. I knew that deep down. But denial is comforting in small doses. Until the next thing hits. That night, I opened a folder I hadn't touched in months. Buried in an external drive I'd almost forgotten about. Labeled Do Not Open, which I'd written back when I still thought I could compartmentalize my trauma like it was just old homework. But I clicked. It was photos. Of me. Some were selfies, ones I'd taken and never posted. Some were from nights I vaguely remembered. But some I didn't recognize at all. I was sleeping. On my couch. On my bed. One from the passenger seat of my car. Angled. Candid. Taken without my knowledge. Which meant he'd had access to my apartment while we were dating. He'd been in my home without me knowing, maybe more than once. He kept the proof like trophies. My hands went numb. I couldn't feel the keyboard anymore. I just sat there, breathing in that quiet panic where you don't cry, your body just shuts down to keep you upright. I sent everything to my lawyer. All the files. All the backups. I told her about the note. The IP pings. The deleted email account from the girlfriend. The new threats. The photos. She responded fast. Said we were no longer in gray zone harassment. That this had crossed into stalking. Targeted intimidation. And if the girlfriend resurfaced, she'd likely have grounds too. I asked her if this could become a criminal case. She said, it already is. We just need to prove it to the right people. Since then, I've started noticing weird little things. A sticky note on my car windshield with no writing. Just a smudge. My mail delivered open. A phone call that rang once, then stopped, the number registered as my own. Glitches. Echoes. Mind games. And honestly, I don't know what's real anymore. But I do know I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of waiting for someone else to hand me back my life. Because here's the thing. If he wants a story so badly, I'll give him one. But this time I write the ending. I didn't sleep again that night. Not even close. I kept imagining him somewhere, on a couch or in a chair, watching all of this unfold like it was a show he made, like he was waiting for the next episode to drop. Like I was just one of his characters. One of his stories. The next morning I woke up to a new email. No subject line. Just a single sentence. You're not the only one who can tell stories. Attached was a video file. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I forwarded it to my lawyer and deleted it from my inbox. But the damage was done. The message was clear. He was still watching, still playing his game. I started noticing more signs. A car parked across the street from my apartment for hours at a time. Unfamiliar faces in the coffee shop I frequented. My social media accounts showed login attempts from locations I didn't recognize. I changed my passwords, enabled two-factor authentication, and even considered deleting my online presence entirely. My lawyer advised me to document everything. Every suspicious incident, every unwanted contact, every piece of evidence. We were building a case, but it was slow going. The legal system moves at its own pace, and meanwhile, he was escalating. One evening, I returned home to find my front door slightly ajar. Nothing was missing, but the sense of violation was overwhelming. I called the police, filed a report, and installed a security system the next day. But the feeling of safety I once had in my own home was gone. I reached out to the ex-girlfriend who had come to me before. She hadn't heard from him since she left, but she agreed to provide a statement for the case. Testimony, combined with the evidence I had, was starting to paint a clearer picture of his behavior. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that he was always one step ahead. That he was orchestrating everything, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. And the worst part? I didn't know what his endgame was. But I was determined to find out. The next morning, I woke up to a new email. No subject line. Just a single sentence. You're not the only one who can tell stories. Attached was a video file. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I forwarded it to my lawyer and deleted it from my inbox. But the damage was done. The message was clear. He was still watching, still playing his game. I started noticing more signs. A car parked across the street from my apartment for hours at a time. Unfamiliar faces in the coffee shop I frequented. My social media accounts showed login attempts from locations I didn't recognize. Changed my passwords, enabled two-factor authentication, and even considered deleting my online presence entirely. My lawyer advised me to document everything. Every suspicious incident, every unwanted contact, every piece of evidence. We were building a case, but it was slow going. The legal system moves at its own pace, and meanwhile, he was escalating. One evening, I returned home to find my front door slightly ajar. Nothing was missing, but the sense of violation was overwhelming. I called the police, filed a report, and installed a security system the next day. But the feeling of safety I once had in my own home was gone. I reached out to the ex-girlfriend who had come to me before. She hadn't heard from him since she left, but she agreed to provide a statement for the case. Her testimony, combined with the evidence I had, was starting to paint a clearer picture of his behavior. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that he was always one step ahead. That he was orchestrating everything, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. And the worst part? I didn't know what his endgame was. But I was determined to find out.